Hi! Welcome back to part 2 of reacting to my romance novel. I'm going to give a word of warning. We are going to get into the nitty-gritty adult stuff, so if you are under the age of parental guidance, then you probably shouldn't listen, but I'm sure you are anyway. This is going to be very awkward to read out loud, so if I laugh, it's not because sex is funny, it's just funny reading it to you! And in order to get ready, I'm going to need some strength in the form of beer. Because that always works for me! Okay, where did I leave off? She grabbed her phone. She dialed the number without looking at it. She knew it by heart. Her fingers knew them so well. She heard it ring. With each ring, she remembered that she hadn't heard his voice in 3 months. She had constantly told him that it would fly by, and needless to say, it was the longest 3 months of her life. Hello? What was going on? She had so many things to say, and yet she couldn't even get a word out. Her voice wasn't working, and her breathing wasn't working right either. She finally sputtered, "Hey." Ugh, that's what happens with beer. Oh, that's gross. Claire, no matter how hard she tried, couldn't take in more than a few words he was saying. He was describing the army and various points of his journey, while she said a few filler words when he paused. The sound of his voice seemed so foreign. She hadn't even recognized it at first, but now it was more familiar. She decided that it was time to discuss what happened 3 months ago. "So what have you been up to, Claire? Can I see you?" There was a long pause as she waited hesitantly for an answer. "Sure, I'll call you before I leave." Now what? Claire found some odds and ends around the house to work on while she waited. Deeply involved in the housework now, the phone rang. She had forgotten for a minute about who it could be. "I'm on my way, see you in a few." Still tangled up in cleaning the bathroom, she acknowledged and told him to just come on in because she was working on the bathroom. Scrubbing the large mirror, she didn't hear him come in. David walked in the familiar front door. How many times he had come to see her, and she had surprised him wearing nearly nothing. He remembered how she had always said that she hated Valentine's Day, but he thought that he changed her mind that night. He walked in the front door with a bouquet of white roses, seeing her standing in a white fluffy robe. The surprise went very well, and considering she hated the holiday, she hadn't been bad at all with her particular purchase for him from Victoria's Secret. He walked into the entryway. Ahead of him was the living room, where they had watched dozens of films and not watched a single minute. The barren fireplace that once roared with life during the coldest winter to date, but he never felt the cold at all in her arms. To the right was the kitchen, where Claire had tried to cook. She was hopeless, but looked so cute in her apron, trying so hard to get it right for him. He eventually took over the rest while she made the dessert. The dinner ultimately burned and set off the smoke alarm when he had realized what dish she had used for the dessert. She always liked satisfying his sweet tooth. Glancing through the window, he had replayed the night it was pouring rain and she had run out in just a white tank and boxers from the bedroom to cover up her new car. Standing in the doorway, he had watched as she frantically pulled the tarp over the new leather while being pelted with raindrops. He smiled as the white tank was soaked completely through. Once the car was covered, she sighed and started back inside. Giving him an inquisitive look, she glanced down and shrieked, tugging on the front of her shirt, realizing that she had forgotten to grab a bra on the way out. Laughing heartily at the look of shock on her face, she remembered suddenly seeing her pout angrily and run straight at him. She dragged him into the cold rain and started to kiss him under the stars. They spent so long in the rain with each other that they spent the rest of the night in front of the fire. It was the best cold he had ever gotten. Sighing, he turned left down the hallway towards the bedroom and bathroom. The bedroom came first, and the sudden change of the decorations was disconcerting. She would change a few things here or there sometimes, but the change of almost everything made the entire room appear different. But he saw the same bed with the old headboard she had bought in an old garage sale that she would smack her head on every night. David recognized the antique dresser that he knew carried her jeans, old t-shirts, socks, and grinning mischievously, he remembered that she always kept the fun stuff for him in the bottom drawer. It was amazing how when she would go to shower and open the bottom drawer for something to wear when she was finished was the sexiest thing he'd ever seen. Most of the time, she never got to put it on because he'd follow her into the shower. It seems that she still keeps them in the bottom drawer. His favorite red ensemble lay on the top and made him throb unconsciously. No matter how many times she said she wasn't beautiful, that's when she looked spectacular. When she felt pretty, she looked exquisite. David glanced around, finally realizing what was missing. All of the things he had given her and all their pictures were gone. Not much was changed besides that, but he didn't realize that it would impact him so much. On a closer inspection, not everything was gone. Looking at the letter he had sent while he was gone, he heard music. Smirking, David remembered that whenever Claire did work, she'd listen to music loud and sing along. She couldn't sing that well, but it was passionate nonetheless. Traveling towards the bathroom, the smell of cleaning products hit his nose. The first thing he saw was her backside. She was bent over her tiny bucket of cleaning supplies. She looks good, he thought idly. She faced the mirror again with more paper towels, getting the streaks off one by one. Upright, he saw that she was skinnier than ever, but was also more toned than ever. Her legs were more defined up to her muscular thighs, her lower back grabbed his gaze greedily, and her shoulders were calling to be touched. Claire had thrown up her hair hurriedly to get it out of her face, but it was artfully messy. She hopped up on the counter with ease to reach the top of the mirror. Reaching up high, her shirt lifted up to reveal a flat stomach with some definition. This flash of skin halted David in his tracks. He stood staring at the different vision in front of him, singing horribly along to Fall Out Boy's Thanks for the Memories. Finished with the mirror, he watched her slide off the counter and bent over to pick up the paper towels she had discarded on the floor. This was the hardest to watch in more ways than one. She was wearing a form-fitting V-neck, which revealed enough cleavage and a hint of a lacy red bra. The color red had always been his weakness. When she straightened out, Claire saw David and jumped. David chuckled at her reaction, but Claire hadn't jumped out of fright. Instead, out of shock. David's hair, his gorgeous long hair she adored and loved running her fingers through, was gone. This short haircut dug into her soul. The army took another thing away, even when he had come back home. Hey, Claire. Your hair's gone! Laughing, he nodded. Claire walked up to him and rubbed his head. She pouted a little, letting out a little Seeing her pout her lips made him want to kiss and bite them gently. We'll just pause. Straightening his posture, he marched with her to her bedroom. She sat on her bed, wiping her furrowed brow, watching as he paced the floor robotically. Perplexed enough by itself, she finally tugged his arm and threw him onto the bed. That's a little too weird for me. He held himself so differently that he felt like a different person. No wonder he hadn't said anything about me in his letter, she thought. The talk turned to army things once again, and her attention turned to his familiar lips. Did he not feel the tension between them? Claire was watching him so avidly, but he wasn't sure that she was even taking in a single word he was saying. He wasn't even listening to himself as he tried urgently to keep things casual. But things were never casual between them. Never would be. After a half an hour of army talk, Claire finally asked the question that was nagging her. Did you get my letter? If the answer was yes, she'd have to deal with the answer, whether he loved her or not. If the answer was no, she could be let off the hook, but then she'd wonder, where the heck did the letter go? Did you get my letter? No? I don't think so. Claire's heart sank. He didn't know how she felt. Not the full extent. She had poured her soul into that letter and now it was just gone. Where was the damn letter? Why? What did you say in it? Crisis mode. Should I say the truth? She thought. You really didn't get it? I put a lot in that letter. Not that I remember. Wait, was it written in Sharpie? Yes, it was. She always preferred the feel of markers to pens. He did get it. Yes, it was! Do you remember what it said? No, I think I opened it and then got sidetracked and never got around to reading it. But I got it with me at my house. Do you want me to read it? Hello?
Hello. It's me.
No! Another chance to back out, but she never could think quick enough. You can read it if you want to. I just wrote a bunch of different stuff in it. It's totally up to you. Smiling, she made it seem unimportant despite the fact it meant the world to her. Alright, I'll read it when I get home. Nodding, she thought about what could happen to them because of what she had written. She turned to the mirror near her closet. Seeing her messy hair, she hastily tried to fix it. You got a tattoo? Startled, she turned back around. What? There, on your neck. I just saw it when you went to fix your hair. Damn! He notices everything, doesn't he? She thought dejectedly. Needing something to do, then foil under his stare, she went back to her hair. She heard the headboard hit the wall as he stood up. Focused on the stubborn stray hairs on top of her head, he came up behind her and placed a hand on her neck. He pulled down the back of her shirt to better look at her tattoo. She closed her eyes since it'd been months since she had been touched at all. However unwelcome it should have been, it was welcome just the same. Their eyes met in the mirror. The man that she missed was looking back at her. His hands were still on her neck. They lingered for a few seconds before moving apart. Claire sat back on the bed. She could feel the warmth from where he had been sitting earlier. Expecting him to continue standing, She was surprised that he sat down next to her. She had, out of habit, sat in the middle of the bed, so they were closer than they normally would have chosen to be. But when she moved to scoot over to give him more room, he held her still. Looking down at the hand on her arm, she saw it was easily, completely wrapped around by his large hand. David realized that he had held onto her arm too long and dropped it. It was so damn hard not to touch her. He had been fine when he was distracted by the army, but now it was just the two of them, and they were sitting way too close. He stood to give himself something to do. He avoided looking at her because it was too painful. Claire, however, was looking at him. He had taken no time in kissing her last time. What was keeping him this time? Enough is enough! Do you not feel anything around me right now? No feelings at all? David finally turned his head. She was dead serious and staring him in the eyes. She only did that when she was extremely serious. He turned the rest of his body towards her. Yes, of course I feel something. Then why aren't you doing anything? Nothing stopped you before. Remembering his former self, it was as if he was waiting for the word. When their lips met, a fire spread down his spine. A fire that couldn't be put out. A thirst that couldn't be quenched. But the needed water was within her. Claire had been waiting for this moment. Everything had led up to now. She just wished it hadn't taken so damn long to get to it. So since we didn't get to any of the nitty-gritty stuff in this episode, I'm going to give you a teaser. I'm going to read you 2 paragraphs from the next episode to give you a clue of where things are going. The moment they made contact, Claire let out a light, airy breath that made him grab even harder. Fingernails dug into his shoulders as she looked into his eyes before divulging into his sensual lips again. Claire pulled away to kiss his neck. With one carefully situated bite on his chest, he groaned and flipped Claire over on her back. He ground his thigh into... He ground his thigh into her heat, watching her back arch upwards. Reaching down to unsip her jeans, he realized how low they were. Only 2 or 3 inches above his ultimate destination. He admired the curves of her hips as he slid the zipper down its short channel. The single button was popped undone to reveal an impossibly smaller set of red underwear that left little to the imagination. So, I hope that will tie you over until I do the next episode. Please let me know what you thought of the next section of my book. I hope you liked this video, and I will see you next week. Bye!